Worry, fear, panic, anxiety, those are the biggest thieves of our productivity and happiness. Today at Live on Purpose TV, how to stop worrying about everything. So today at Live on Purpose TV, we get to do a quick primer on worry, which is one of the euphemisms or one of the words that we pick to describe anxiety. Anxiety is a clinical condition, a diagnosis. It's also a common experience that we as human beings have. I'm thinking of a quote that I heard from Dan Zadra, who said, "Worry is the misuse of imagination." I like that. Worry is what? It's when we imagine that some unwanted thing is going to happen, right? I mean, is that a simple enough definition of it? And we don't know what's going to happen. Notice that we don't know. How are you doing next week? You don't know. But you've got something to do with it. As you imagine what's coming for you, there are two directions that your imagination might go with this. You might imagine that things are going to get better than they currently are. That would be an upgrade. You might imagine that things are going to get worse than they currently are. That would not be an upgrade. That's where worry is triggered. Let's take a look at the two components of anxiety or worry or fear. Pick any of those words that fit whatever your experience is with this. There's a brain component, there's a mind component. The brain and the mind are not the same thing. Your brain isn't your mind any more than your toe is your mind. It's part of your body. Your mind is you. The thinker, the one that's doing the cognition and the evaluation and the creation for that matter. So let's talk about each of those. First of all, the brain. Quick version, different parts of your brain do different things. The part of your brain that controls your fight or flight response is the part that's causing the problem here. To understand this, just understand that different areas of your brain have different jobs. Like the part that controls your eyes, eyesight, vision, is clear in the back of your head. It's called the occipital lobe or the visual cortex that's located in the back part of your brain. There's another part that controls your muscles. There's a part that controls speech and language. And there's a part that controls keeping you safe in the face of danger. We're going to collectively call this part of your brain your limbic system. It includes the amygdala and some other structures that trigger the release of chemicals into your bloodstream that prepare your body to do one of those two things, to fight or to run away, fight or flight. This fight or flight response is actually a very important mechanism to keep you safe and alive. It's the way your brain is supposed to work. The problem that we run into is that the limbic system, being in a primitive area of your brain, doesn't do any thinking. It's not a higher cognitive area like this part behind your forehead. The prefrontal cortex is more commonly associated with thinking, logic, problem solving, all of that kind of fun stuff. Limbic system not interested. It doesn't have that responsibility. So it simply reacts. Now, because it's in a primitive part of your brain, the limbic system cannot discern, and quite frankly, it doesn't care, between a threat that is real and a threat that is perceived. It's all the same thing to your limbic system. That's why we go on roller coasters. Do you like roller coasters? Some people do, some people don't. It gives you quite a thrill to be on a roller coaster. Why? Because your limbic system is perceiving a huge threat. And based on that threat, it secretes chemicals into your bloodstream, the combination of which cause a sense of thrill or euphoria or terror, depending on how we're interpreting it. Did you know you can get the same feeling driving your car off of a cliff? Yeah. Physiologically, same feeling. Psychologically, it's a whole different ballgame. As long as we feel that we have control over it, we call it entertainment, like the roller coaster. As soon as we don't sense any control over what we're feeling, we call it terror, fear. Physiologically, it's essentially the same reaction. So in a condition of anxiety or worry, chemically, what's happening here is a result of that limbic system response to threat, which triggers chemicals into our bloodstream, and we're off to the races with the feelings, okay? And it'll either be positive or negative depending on the context. So that's the brain piece. What are we going to do with the brain piece? We want to calm down that limbic system response. The quickest way that I know to do this is through breathing. Slow, deliberate, intentional breathing that will allow you to reverse that process of the fight or flight response. It alters or restores the blood flow back to the higher cognitive areas of your brain so that you can actually get the thinker involved. We're going to need that for the next step. So whether it's breathing, meditation, yoga, mindfulness practice, exercise, there's a lot of ways that you can calm that limbic system response. We've posted some videos about some of those ways. Do a little bit of research, find what works well for you, but we want to calm down that fight or flight response. Okay? That's the brain piece. Let's go over to the mind. Now, the mind is you. It's the thinker, it's the decider, it's the agent inside of the machine. That's the part where we get to look at our own thinking. I've talked to you before about metacognition. Metacognition is that process of thinking about our own thinking. And that's a key to our success here. As we think about our own thinking, we'll be able to take a higher level of control and exercise choice over what direction our thinking is going. Here's the bottom line for anxiety. There's a conscious portion of our mind and a subconscious portion of our mind. Conscious means aware. Awareness, like you can explain to me what's going on consciously. You're aware of it. Subconscious, sub means below, like subway, submarine, subcontractor. Subconscious, below awareness. You're not aware of what's going on down in your subconscious mind. Now, you can become aware of it, but by definition, subconscious means that it's below your awareness. That's where the problem originates. In our subconscious mind, there's a question, a nagging question that ties into anxiety and worry. The question is, what if? What if? What if this? What if that? What if I fail? What if I get rejected? What if I die? Now, it's subconscious, so you're not always aware of it. You can become aware of it, but as long as it's in the subconscious realm, we've got a little problem that happens because your subconscious mind has a nasty habit of answering its own questions. Answering its own questions. And if you don't give it a conscious answer, it will come up with its own, and it's got a default answer to the subconscious what if question. And that default answer is, oh my gosh, you can't handle that. Oh, we can't handle that. Okay? In probably that tone of voice, because it gets really panicky. And there's this nervousness around, if you can't handle something, if you believe that you can't handle something, what does that look like to that limbic system, protective system in your brain? Huge threat. Could there be a greater threat than you can't handle this? I don't think so. That triggers the chemicals. We're off to the races. Okay, with fear, anxiety, panic, and worry. So here's the key. We get to answer the what ifs. This is simple. But simple and easy are not the same thing. We get to pull those what if questions up from the basement of our subconscious and answer them truthfully, in the light, according to principle. And the answer that we're looking for is, I can handle that. With a level of confidence that allows us to get free from the anxiety and the fear and the worry. How to stop worrying about everything is to get to the answer that you could handle anything. Anything. Do you believe that? There's a lot of reasons why I believe that, including things that my clients have shared with me. I had a little kid whose parents were murdered. He's the one that found him. Can you handle something like that? I asked him the same question. He's like, oh man, hey, but I am handling it, huh? Do you see what I'm talking about? There is no human experience that you can't handle. Now, I'm not saying that it would be easy or fun or painless. What I'm saying is you could handle it. I had one of my clients challenge me on that. He said, well, what if it kills me? Oh yeah, like you can't handle that. People die every day. That's harder on the survivors, I'm pretty sure. Now, not to be morbid about that, but could you handle it if you died? And not to burst anyone's bubble here, but nobody gets out of this alive. There's a predictable exit strategy to this earth life, and it's called death. Could you handle that? I guess you'd have to, right? One of my clients said that after I challenged him about a belief of something that he couldn't handle, and I walked him through it. What if, and in his case, this was a 15-year-old boy. He was afraid that his mom would die. Okay, mom tried to reassure him by saying, oh, honey, I'm not going to die. She doesn't know that. And in fact, it's a lie. At some point, she will die, won't she? So it wasn't serving him. His subconscious mind knew that she might, that she could. So we answered the what if. And as I pushed him along, I walked him through the whole thing. What if your mom dies? Oh, I don't even want to think about it. I know. I'm not asking you to set up camp there. I'm asking you to visit and see if we can come up with a different answer. I said, what if she does? Then what's going to happen is somebody is going to break the news to you. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be tearful. You're going to feel some things. I walked him clear through putting on a suit for the funeral and putting his boutonniere on the casket. And it was a little brutal for him to think about it. But at the end of that, I saw him take a breath. And I asked him, could you handle that? His answer was brilliant. He said, I guess I'd have to. And then he breathed in a way that showed me that he had released the anxiety. And he said, now come on back. Your mom's still with us, isn't she? Yeah, and I'm grateful she is. Could you handle it if she passed? Yeah, you could. See, as soon as we get to the I could handle it answer, we release our subconscious from holding us captive with that answer that says we can't handle it, and it resolves the anxiety. So you got two tools here that you can use. Practice breathing. Get that limbic system to calm down. Take care of the physical mechanism that houses your mind. And then on the mind side, answer the what ifs. Answer them truthfully. Let's get to the answer that you can handle it. Folks, that is the answer to anxiety and worry. And it's simple. Simple and easy aren't the same thing. So it's going to take a little bit of work. And get some help if you need it. There are people like myself. There are professionals who will counsel and coach with you to help you answer those what ifs. The truth is you can handle it. Whatever it is. I'm confident of that. You've got this. You can tell I get excited about this topic. I think together we can put an all-out war on worry and fear and anxiety. Make sure you share this episode and subscribe right down there.